The importance of achieving sustainable development goals and fulfilling the commitments of the Paris Agreement have never been more urgent and apparent. And the progress we so desperately need to make really depend on the efforts of all of you here today, exchanges, regulators, companies, and industry organizations. Well-informed capital markets are critical in these efforts. Given the right information, capital markets will accurately price risks and effectively allocate capital to enterprises that are most resilient and best at avoiding, managing, and mitigating risks. This is no less true for the risk we all face today due to climate change than it is for traditional financial, operational, and reputational risks. Investors and the companies in which they invest must consider their long-term strategies and most efficient allocation of capital in light of the potential economic impacts of climate change. Companies that engage in activities that are more susceptible to climate-related risks may be less resilient, and their investors may experience lower returns. On the other hand, companies that are well-positioned on sustainability and climate issues are likely to produce better returns for their investors over the long term. And we're beginning to see some positive results of initial investments in new sustainable technologies. However, there's still a clear gap between current levels of investment and those needed to limit warming to 1.5 degrees. To this end, markets are very powerful forces, and it is critical to fuel these forces by providing the businesses and investors with the information they need to make meaningful progress in directing investment to the most sustainable assets and investments. Without this transparency, the investment gap will continue to persist as the financial community struggles to accurately assess which companies are the best prepared to face climate change. And now I would like to transition to talk to you about the role of the task force, because this directly relates to what I have described as the lack of transparency and information on climate-related risks. The task force, as most of you know, was created by the Financial Stability Board in December of 2015 to help companies disclose climate-related financial information in a clear and consistent way, to allow investors to better understand their financial exposure to climate risks, and to improve the way companies can manage their climate-related risks. The work of the task force is led by Michael Bloomberg as the chair and 30 other private sector leaders, and the task force put forth a report of its recommendations in 2017. The recommendations for companies will help companies develop more effective climate-related financial disclosures through their existing reporting processes and structures, utilizing already what companies are used to reporting on based on the 4 pillars around governance, risk, strategy, and risk management strategy and metrics. The success of this work depends on the endorsement and support by regulators, by stock exchanges, and companies who will adopt this. So I can't emphasize how important it is for us to have the support and the endorsement of all the stock exchanges that are here today and for the regulators. To date, more than 500 global organizations have now expressed their support for the task force and its recommendation, which is a key step to moving forward. This includes 14 stock exchanges, many of whom are here today, and for that we are truly grateful, and many national governments and central banks and major companies. In particular, we believe stock exchanges have a critical role to play in encouraging companies to give investors the information they need to support, encourage companies to disclose, or integration of climate-related disclosure into their guidance and requirements. Second, we hope that capital market regulators and central bankers make clear that climate-related risk information is key to facilitating sustainable business models, opening new markets, and to sound risk management. As an aside, just a couple of weeks ago, the Bank of England put forth a consultation paper which set out expectation to its firms on managing financial risks to its firms from climate change. And this is very much based on a lot of the recommendations that were covered in the task force recommendations. Third, companies must continue to demonstrate responsibility and resiliency in managing risks and opportunities with an eye toward a sustainable future. And last, industry groups and other organizations must facilitate necessary progress in developing tools, resources, and best practices in helping build capacity. Ultimately, we aim for the task force's recommendations to become commonplace in financial disclosures. The more adoption increases, the more transparent markets will become, the more secure and stable economy will be, and the faster we can make progress against the harmful effects of climate change. Thank you.